I welcome you one and all to the series. Are you set in your ways, or are you amenable to God's direction and bidding? Today's passage is from the book of Exodus, from chapter 7 to chapter 11, where we find all the signs, or call them miracles, Moses had to perform to convince Pharaoh to let the Israelites go. The theme is Pharaoh's trait in us. It is my goal to highlight some of the ways that we exemplify Pharaoh today. It is said that stubbornness destroys good advice. Who is a stubborn person? Or what characterizes a stubborn person? A stubborn person we know is obstinate. A stubborn person we know is unmoved. A stubborn person is set or fixed in his or her ways, despite the difficulty one faces in keeping to that particular course of action. The biblical example in relation to our text is Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. When Moses made it very clear to him that God wanted the Hebrew people to leave Egypt, what did he request? He demanded a sign. Now, what does that imply? It suggests that after it is provided, he will let the people go. But what happened? In Exodus chapter 7 from verse 10 to 13, we read that when Aaron threw his staff and it changed into a snake, Pharaoh too called in his magicians, who also performed a similar miracle. However, when the magicians threw their staffs and they turned into snakes, they were swallowed up by Aaron's staff. This was a clear sign to Pharaoh to let the Israelites go. But the passage says in chapter 7 verse 13 of Exodus that Pharaoh's heart remained hardened and refused to listen. This is stubbornness. In view of this, God directed a second miracle to be performed by Moses, where the staff of Aaron was able to turn the waters of the Nile to blood. But Pharaoh to let his magicians also do the same. Due to his stubbornness, God continued to provide signs. It took the 10th plague, where God put to death the firstborn sons of the Egyptians, for Pharaoh to now listen. It is true that in life, we are at times like Pharaoh. When there is a conflict in a relationship or in the family life, the writings may be very clear on the wall that the trajectory is negative, that doom is imminent, that disaster is pending if things remain the same. But unfortunately, like Pharaoh, we remain adamant. Our hearts remain hardened. When a man, for instance, abandons his wife and children, and he refuses to listen to the advice of his family to reconsider the decision, we see the traits of Pharaoh in him. When a woman decides to maltreat the stepchildren and will not listen to the advice of friends and family to reconsider the way she treats the stepchildren, she demonstrates the Pharaoh-like traits. The point is that when we refuse to listen to good advice, Pharaoh's trait lives on. It took the death of the firstborn sons of the Egyptians for Pharaoh to now change his mind. For some of us, it is only when we are at the twilight of our lives that we begin to change the course of action. When, for instance, we are struck with sickness, that we begin to appreciate the wisdom in the pieces of advice that came from family and friends. The question is, must it take sickness or death for us to listen? Whenever we wait for a major disaster to strike before we listen, then it means that Pharaoh's trait lives on. At times we may feel or think that by listening to good advice and changing the course of action, it is a sign of weakness or a sign of loss. Hey, greatness is not always achieved by winning. At times, greatness comes by losing. My hope and prayer are that we continue to appreciate the signs that God performs each day to get us to listen. May we discern the voice of God that comes loud and clear each day. It is said that the voice of the people can be the voice of God. Once a number of people talk to us on the same subject matter, we should beware before it becomes too late. It is said, stubbornness and stupidity are twins. The choice is yours. God bless you.